people are producing a lot of content, and oftentimes a lot of people are not connecting with it because it's AI generated. So, my goal for this session is to give you enough information for you to be able to prompt AI better and to actually be able to take steps to improve your marketing. To essentially go from like stopping to produce content to actually create content that converts and is more effective. So, a little bit about me is that I'm a brand strategist and marketer. I run my own marketing agency, through which I've worked with about like 30 plus different companies. I have a preference for startups, specifically early stage startups, and ones that are super passionate and doing something good in the world. But outside of my work running this agency, I also mentor at a couple of different accelerators, all climate tech. And that there's like Climate Kick in the EU, there's Catalyst, which is in Mexico, and Brainforest, which is a Swiss VC firm. And through my mentoring and my work, I think I worked with about like 50 founders and companies from about like 21 different countries. And where I think my specialty lies is in kind of making that first impression that companies or startups can make, whether it's their website, it's their pitches, or their like social media content, the kind of positioning, voice, and the strategy that goes behind it is where I think my sweet spot lies. So I'm just going to make some assumptions. That most or all of you have tried using have tried using AI for your marketing, or you are like actively using it and you kind of almost depend on it in a way, and you're medium happy with the results. And that means that sometimes it kind of blows your mind, but sometimes it also falls flat and you feel like you have to prompt it a lot, or you're feeling very disconnected from it because you're using AI, you're getting content, but you don't feel like it's getting you the kind of results that you want because just something feels missing. And that's what we're going to try and figure out in this session together. Um, how I see the problem is over here is that founders, startups, the marketers for these startups or companies are using AI more than ever, and they're generating more output than ever. In my work, I've seen it as before when I used to start projects with startups. Founders would tell me, "Oh, I just need you to run my social media." I would not get any other information and I'd have to figure that out. But now I'm getting like these long briefs of strategies they've made or things that they've tried to like work out on their own or implement, and it hasn't worked. So I feel like people are creating strategies that they can't execute. It's just a bunch of information and they don't know how to take the next step to actually put it into action. They're creating a lot of content. If you look at LinkedIn nowadays, everyone sounds the same. Everyone is posting more and more, but nothing's actually hitting. When was the last time like you've actually read a LinkedIn post that made you feel something or made you want to take action? It all has the same structure. Everyone has the same tone of voice. It's honestly a little boring. And a lot of brand assets that land flat. And by that, I think mostly it's websites or pitch decks. Again, everything sounds and looks the same. Nothing catches your attention and nothing is memorable anymore. You just tend to scroll past. And I think that's because AI can produce a lot of content, but it can't prioritize what you actually need. It doesn't know what's actually missing. And that means it doesn't know how to target your audience. It doesn't know how to actually speak to them or make them stop their scroll or any of that. And there's another side to this problem, which doesn't have to do with what people are doing, but the reason why the first output that you get from AI is probably not the best. And it's because AI, just in its own nature, what we have right now with LLMs, they work from patterns. They're pulling from what everyone else in your industry is doing. It's pulling from all the other information out there. And so what you're getting is a very average output, sorry. It doesn't stand out. You're getting an expected tone of voice or an expected structure. And again, no reason to stop someone's scroll, no reason for them to engage with you. And but at the same time, AI is useful. And again, I want to like go on that point that I think founders and startups should be using AI for their marketing just because it's so useful. It helps you with first drafts. It helps you actually take action and be more consistent and put out content with volume. It helps you with research and summaries. But of course, if you're like double checking it, it helps you structure and format a lot of loose thoughts that you might have as a founder. And it helps you with brand consistency if you feed it a tone of voice. Plus, with repurposing, you write a long blog post and you ask it to make 3 LinkedIn posts or 2 video scripts out of it, it's going to do a great job of that. So those are some of the places where I think AI is useful. But it is still failing you because, like we talked about, it pulls from the middle. It can't define your positioning. That's something that comes from emotion, passion, a good understanding of the industry. It doesn't know what converts. It can put stuff out there, but it doesn't know what will actually click for people. It flattens your voice. AI tends to sound like AI. Like if you read something, ChatGPT wrote it, unless someone has prompted it well enough to make sure that, okay, it doesn't sound like ChatGPT anymore. um, and a lack of creativity, where again, everyone's doing the same thing, everyone's having the same structures. How do you actually make people remember you? How do you actually make people engage with you and make it feel refreshing, fun, different? And of course, the last one is that it produces a lot of content without actually prioritizing what's important. So you can have pages and pages and pages of content ideas and brand strategies, but it's hard to execute, or even if you do execute, you might not get the kind of ROI that you want from it. And so, my goal for this session is to make sure you walk away with clarity. So, for each of these, what we'll do is we'll target what I think are the main key assets for any startup or founder, early stage founder. And that to me is the website, pitch deck, and any social media strategy or content strategy they have. This could be for your company, this could be for your personal LinkedIn, and we're going to understand what are the specific problems that I often see that AI generated marketing makes, and how you can actually prompt AI better or audit the output it's giving you. So I'll start by going for each of these. Some of these things might also be a little repetitive, but that's just because it's like a common problem that I see. So we'll start off with websites. And also just letting you know at any point if you have questions, or if you have any questions that's specific to your use case in your thing, just feel free to raise your hand and let me know. Rohini.
So when the websites angle, so a lot of people are generating websites using Lovable or
Hmm.
Claude is kind of right. So how should we like customize our own brand or content to AI? So you feed the data into AI
Hmm.
and then it can create unique. Can we do
Yeah.
it? Or even if you feed the data, is it still going to be the same templates coming up? Like I do
Hmm.
see that you can give the scripts, but still the templates and the structure of
Yeah,
it, the components of it is still the same. How are we
exactly.
going to
Yeah.
modify that? Like unless you like assume that I don't know how to code at all. I don't know
Hmm.
change how to change it. I The only way I can do it by giving text to the AI, and I
Hmm.
want it to be unique for me. So how can I
Hmm.
do it?
And that's the thing, like when people are generating sites with Lovable and Claude, it usually is at the end of this conversation they've had with, that LLM saying where it has all the information that they fed it about their company. But the problem is, again, like you mentioned, the structure that it puts out is because it's browsing through a lot of the other websites in that industry. And also a big problem is that it's giving you the output you want as a founder. It's not giving you the output that a customer might actually want to see. And so there are some things that when you're looking at a website that, ask Claude, ask ChatGPT, ask anything to generate like a website template for you. And then you might actually just notice some of these things. Where one is this, like the first hero copy. So the website hero is the first bit of the website, like the first section. And that usually says nothing. So when people land on a website, the stat is that they have 14 milliseconds, and in those 14 milliseconds, they make a decision about you. They make assumptions about you, your business. So that first section needs to be so specific to who you're talking to, what your audience is looking for, how you can help them. 14 milliseconds to say that information. So your text, your visuals, your body text, your heading text, all of it needs to be so cohesive. And that specificity, when you ask AI to generate, usually doesn't come. And that's why for me, I feel like AI writes for everyone, so it writes for no one. It doesn't write for your audience specifically. And then again, like as you go down that website, you'll see it might have generated a section for the features of your product, for example. And in those features, it never really talks about It kind of lists what each feature is, but the problem is it doesn't talk about feelings in a sense. It'll tell you like the product is fast, but at the end of the day, the what actually works for the customers, if they're reading how it saves them time, how it maximizes their efficiency and productivity. So you need to always think about it from the perspective of the customer. So if you're looking at that website that AI is generated for you, you should look at every line and think, does it center my product? Does it center my company? Or is it centering the customer? The customer is the main character here. We should be talking about their feelings, their goals, their aspirations in every single line. And then another issue that I have is the wrong hierarchy. Like even if you see a lot of like lovable sites will make like the hero section, and then it'll talk about the features, and then it'll talk about why this company, and then pricing and all of that. And I think that is not a structure that actually converts very well. What actually converts when it comes to websites is when the website tells a story, because your hero section is like the cover of the book. It captures their attention, it makes them want to scroll and read more. And so the next section should present that imagine they are the main character of the story. It should talk about a problem they're facing. So after the hero section, a problem. And then it should talk about you as a company giving them the steps to solve that problem. And then after that, to talk about why your company is different and like that differentiator, that unique differentiator, why they should choose you and not a competitor. And the last major issue I see with these AI generated sites is no objection handling. In simple terms, that means that every user who's coming to your website doesn't want to pay you money. They don't want to buy your product, but they want a solution to their problem. And they have these emotions, they have these doubts, and every single line on your site shouldn't talk about you. Every single line is an opportunity to actually shut that doubt away from their mind. To say, it could be a thing about trust. That means that's why a lot of websites will have the logos immediately of logos of companies that use their product. That builds trust. The next thing will be if I give them data, will it be safe, for example? And then so you should answer that immediately. So think about what are the doubts your customers have. I'd say you make a long list of what all the doubts are that your customers have, and then you audit your website and see if AI is actually answering all those doubts. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a website like in the very early stage of it. I used AI
Mm-hmm.
to build it. So if you wanna
Mm-hmm.
break it down, like criticize it completely,
Yeah.
one of my website,
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the STEM education related one we are trying to do. And if you just type this, it
Okay.
is in very early stage and we are still figuring it out. And so I used AI to build this website literally. And some of
Awesome.
my
Let's see.
like I designed the logo from everything. So you can just when you
Mm-hmm.
said I know what you're saying when it talking about hero section, that this is the first section.
Mm-hmm. This
So
is a hero section.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can break it down where I did wrong and where I can improve also. Like
Mm-hmm.
others also can show and probably they'll get better understanding of what section you're talking.
Mm-hmm. So this hero section, the first thing I see is redefining STEM hackathons, redefining STEM workshops. Immediately, I think this isn't talking to me. I know what you're doing, but how does it help me? So that's, I don't know who you're talking to. Are you talking to a partner? Am I supposed to be a student looking at this? Am I supposed to be a mentor looking at this? Like when I immediately see that, I don't know if you're talking to me, if this website is for me. So that is already not defined in this first section. So you lose interest there because it's not specific. And then this is text. It's a space to learn, workshops, etc., etc. But again, it talks about you. If you had to reframe this to actually make it more like converting, what you would say is the benefit that I get. Like if you're talking to students, I'd start the sentence with advance your career or opportunities to advance your career or something like that. So instead of starting with a space, I'd start with that. And again, this section is this. Did you do it with AI? Because it loves making these sections. Yeah. Again, like now
Whole,
it's
whole
talk.
thing is through AI.
Okay, nice. So this section now is again talking about you. And so I don't know. And it's talking to everyone, student, researcher, professional. It's talking to everyone. What you could do instead is maybe divide this section into like three different parts. Like it could be three blocks where it talks about for students, for professionals, for researchers. And so I know now where to look because in big it's going to be written what pertains to me.
Yeah.
And now what else is missing is a doubt that I have is about the trust building. I don't know who you've worked with. I don't know who you are. I don't know who's made this website. I don't know why I should trust this, why I should make an account, which means giving my email or password or anything to you. So now that's going to be another question of why should I trust this website? So those are some things where if you put the customer into like the main as the main character and you thought about this whole thing from their perspective, then this whole structure of the website would change. You'd maybe have some FAQs, you'd maybe have more sections pertaining to specific people, and you'd talk to me more about the problem that you're solving for me and not just the services you're offering. So that is like the biggest difference because what I'm seeing here is you had a nice conversation with ChatGPT or Claude or something, and you've told them about your business, and that is the only information it has to work off of, which it has put over here very cleanly, but it's not effective.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
take it from the one important line is that it is talking about the services, but what the problem you're solving. Even I'm
Yeah.
brainstorming around it, how to change it, but that's a very valuable feedback about it. Thanks.
Yeah. And actually, coming to my next point is if we look at this hero section as well,
Mhm.
what it talks about, like a space to learn through workshops, DIY, and stuff, is we talked about how you have 14 milliseconds to make an impact here before someone forms a decision, that it needs to bring about a certain emotion, which AI is very bad at doing unless you prompt it and push it to actually do it. I'll show you another example that I have is if so I have two things here. This is an example for an interior design firm, and their whole unique selling point is to they build homes or they design homes around your unique story, be it your culture, your family background, the way you live your life, whatever's unique to you, we design that space around you. And if I give this prompt, oh, sorry, if I give this prompt to AI of write me a homepage hero section, heading, body text, this is an interior design firm that believes in every home is unique and tells a story. This is what it gives me. The big text, it would say designed around your story. And then it would give me this text, which is honestly hard to read. I don't want to read it. I just want to skim through it. I'm not even picking up any words. But if you actually prompted it to push it to actually get a certain tone of voice, right? And which we'll get to about how to make your tone of voice and actually push it to bring about an emotion, this is what it would do differently. Like that every home is a story worth getting right. Now immediately I feel like, yeah, my home too is a story worth getting right. And then it talks about again, at X, we help you create a space that truly feels like yours. You're immediately telling them the value you're giving to them, one that reflects your culture, your routines, your chaos, your calm. Then what you're immediately thinking of is the imagery that it gives you, that culture, maybe like in India, like the fact that homes are designed around like a big family. Your routines, you're thinking about parents hurriedly getting their kids ready for school, or and calm is like coming back home and just relaxing, and that you want a space like that. So you have to kind of push AI and also notice until it actually gets the content to be more emotionally evocative like this. Because this is not bad, it's just very forgettable. And it doesn't make you want to read it in a sense. So if you push it, you ask it the right stuff, you can get answers or output that's more centered around the person you're talking to. And so I wanted to give you guys some actions that you can take this week, today, whenever, to actually audit your websites, like we did for Rohini right now. It would be first to audit your hierarchy. So, like we saw for her website, AI builds it with a certain logical order. It gives the intro, it gives you what you do, and it tells you like sign up and stuff. But that logic might not work for everyone. You need to think about your personal, like your customer, what geography they're in, what their doubts are, what information they're looking for, and actually think about how each section can persuade them to actually sign up, give them their email, buy your product, whatever it is. Another thing AI doesn't think of is the whole journey. It can put information on a page, but it doesn't know how to make your customers actually flow through a user flow or go through a journey. And that means like what button goes where, what resources can we give, what can we do to pull them that little bit closer with every scroll or every different page. So while you're building out pages, zoom out a little bit and think about the bigger picture as well, and think of the journey. Next, I would say kill the jargon, and that means any big words, throw it out. Make it so simple, because using the big industry language can sometimes feel credible. And AI is probably, you tell it you're in solar, it's going to look at solar pages online to pull information from. So there's going to be a bit of industry jargon, a bit of words that people might not understand. So make sure it's very simple, and of course, like we mentioned, fix the hero section. So it needs to answer what is this? Why have they come to this page? Who is it for? And why should they care? And try to fit that under 3 sentences. Ideally, two, like big text and then 2 sentences after. If you can do one, even better. But those are the three main things. So who is it for? Why should they care? And what is this? Um, any other questions related to websites before we move on?
One quick question is that latest
Hmm.
observation about the AI is that no, not in my website, I'm just general saying is that I use AI a lot for website creation, and I see when you are sharing, they are leaving their footprint made by Lovable, built
Hmm.
by Bolt, or whatever the taglines. So if you have to give another script or another prompt saying that remove that and include
Hmm.
whatever your signature you need to have. These kind of minor observations I found. Like I said,
Hmm.
the boxes, I take some example of a picture which I liked, and I would give that to AI saying, I
Yeah.
like the box look like this
Hmm.
than the generic one what you have. So that
Yeah.
way, I think we can customize the websites more relevant to you, more relevant to your customers, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, those are like, especially when you're sharing the thumbnail, it might look a small thing, but it is an important thing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are just my observations using AI for
Yeah.
websites.
And it's the thing where like people are producing so fast that they also forget to pay attention to the little things, because for them it's like, okay, it's done, it's out there, let's move on. But these very tiny things tend to make a big difference.
Priyanka,
Yes,
can I
go
just
ahead.
ask you to list those four uh, actions that you said? So you said,
Hmm.
who is it for? Why should they care? How we help them,
Yeah.
and what
And
are they
what is
looking for?
this? Yeah.
Yeah,
What are they
yeah,
looking for? Yep.
yeah. Great.
Um, and so shall we move on now to pitch decks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll also pay attention to the time and I'll try to move a little quicker. But
It's fine. The last 20 minutes was for questions. I only gave 40 minutes timeline for you,
okay.
but we have 1 hour.
Okay, cool. So next pitch decks is where I think AI goes wrong, is that if you think of a pitch deck again, all of you already know that it'll first start with a cover slide where there'll be one line about the company, then it'll be a problem, then it'll be a solution, and it'll be a TAM, SAM, like the different like
Yeah,
circles,
yeah.
and you know what to expect. And a big problem is a lot of pitch decks. The titles of each slide will be just that: our problem, our solution, our market. And the thing that they're doing is now you've created 20 slides of information, and humans need to be prompted what to think. That's the
Mm.
core of it. So you can't just give them information. You have to tell them what to think about the information you're giving them. And the top of the slide, where these headings are, is just prime real estate. You can create a story, a narrative. You can build that in every single slide. So That's where I think like you can follow the template, but use it to build a solid narrative because that's what's more important than content. That's the thing people are looking at more than like what they're skimming through in the smaller text in your deck. When mistaking polish for clarity comes into like the language that's usually in these decks, again, trying very hard to sound very professional, very industry credible, but you're looking at your deck is probably being rejected by an investing analyst who doesn't know much about the industry. They just need to know why they care. And sometimes you're putting all this jargon to sound like you're a good player in this industry, and it doesn't make any sense to them. The third thing is a slide that I think most people get wrong. It's the why us, because investors, when they're looking at this deck, they want to know why they should invest in you. Because 100% there's going to be competitors that are doing this exact same thing, but they want to know why they should care about you. And this is not just the team slide, it can be like every other slide on the deck where it talks about what you do, any like experience you've had or anything, but it doesn't talk about why this team specifically, because investors want to see the unfair advantage that this particular team has, the domain expertise that they bring that no one could replicate, and most importantly, the passion and the solution, the way of thinking that this team has that they've approached this company with, because that's what they're looking for. Investors, you'll always hear them say that they invest in people and not the product. So that's what they're looking for. They want to know the way you're thinking, which needs to come out in this deck. And the last one is no investor logic. It's easy, similar to the websites, to put content onto decks. But again, are we thinking of it now from the investor perspective? I've seen so many decks where they're talking at length about their product and how great it is. But the one thing investors care about is commercial viability. Will this be a successful product? Can they start making money quickly and make me money quickly? Most decks don't answer that. Honestly, 90% of decks don't answer that. And that is the single most thing that I think is most important.
But Priyanka, sorry to cut you, but which slide would you say that is? So are you talking about the go-to-market slide or?
I think every slide should talk about commercial viability. Like it can start with the problem slide, should talk about,
Of course.
like instead of just listing the problem as a general market problem, it should be
Yeah.
like, why are your customers putting money towards this now?
Yeah.
One example is a company that's making like biodegradable like textile dyes. This was a company whose pitch deck I saw recently. And for them, their old problem slide talked about like, oh, impact, like it's polluting so much. This is really bad. And an investor who cares about impact will be like, oh, that sucks. But will they actually put money towards it? No, because they're like, your product costs 4 times more than traditional dyes. Why would customers pay? And so that's an immediate question. They need to answer that from the first slide, which is the problem slide. How would they do that? Is by mentioning maybe like the regulations that are there in like 70% of countries now, that dyes have to meet certain like sustainable standards. So now immediately you're creating that sort of thing of, oh, okay, so now there's a need. But are companies already moving towards that? Yes. Zara, H&M, Nike have put money towards that right now. So you can think, okay, now there's an actual place for this in the market. So the problem slide, for example, even is not to talk about your problem. It's to create a problem in the investor's head to think, okay, money needs to go here. So
yeah,
I think that's
no, but
yeah.
I think I've done that. But it's always good to hear other inputs around it, because the fascinating thing is if you ever pitched in front of tons of investors, everyone have a different view on different things, particularly when they're angel investors. So you don't know who you get in front of yourself. The one who have a little bit more consistency is VCs.
VCs, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you can't cater to everyone you're investing to because each person has their own like investing logic and ethos and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So you go sometimes a little bit schizophrenic because you don't,
Yeah.
the last one said this and this one said this, and then you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So it is, can be a bit
Okay, I'm going
challenging.
to bring back the conversation. We are talking about if we degenerate the pitch deck through AI, what are the things we can avoid? Generally, I know what Alexandra is talking, angel investors pitching to them. It's a whole different topic. And we'll dig into deeper how we can pitch better in a different session. Now, if I create a pitch deck using an AI, how can I do it better? So let's focus on that
Yes,
problem for today.
got it. So just going into that is one small like thing that you could do to make it better is this, like we were talking about, this investor logic test. For each slide to audit it to make sure it is actually talking directly to an investor. Thinking of the problem slide, is this painful enough that people are already trying to solve it? The solution slide isn't just like a list of your product and its features. It's to say, why is this the solution that finally makes sense at this particular time in the market? And that should also be the why now slide. Why is now the right time for this product to go to market and for me to put money into it? Is this too early? Is this too late? Or is this now exactly the right time? And then the fundraising slide, people usually just put like a pie chart and talk about like, how they're going to spend the money. But if you build a little bit more of a narrative there, you can actually answer, will this create a fundamentally stronger company or just buy more time? So what you're writing should actually answer that, okay, this is going to make my company better. This is actually going to help you as an investor make more money. And the team slide should talk about like why are these the people who must win the market? What can they do that nobody else can do? Yes, go ahead.
Are there any tools you would advise to create this kind of slides, or like any like, do you use any templates, or how do you
Honestly,
okay.
go to Canva. I think those are the easiest, most beautiful templates out there. Just use Canva, but the content itself, you can like make AI generated and then just do a little bit of auditing through this and like those actions that I'll say in the next slide to just make sure the content is on point. That's about it.
The
Yeah,
one that
even I
helped me, sorry, the one that helped me that I find is if you know Canva, go Canva. But another one I find much easier is Gamma.
Gamma. Okay, I've not heard
Yeah.
about that.
Oh my God, changed my life in pitch decks and also just presentation in general. You can even
Okay.
upload a PowerPoint and you can choose another layout and how it's structured. You can explain how you like it to be structured.
Okay, I should check that out. Thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah, so then like the 4 actions that you can take this week is number 1 is look through your deck or whatever the content AI has generated for you. And what I think might be easier is if you open it as a PDF or you print it out or something, start circling what you think are generic claims. Um, like if it's just saying like SMEs struggle with financial management, everyone knows that. That's a generic claim. Try to kind of rewrite that in a way that only you, someone who's so close to the exact specific problem that you solve, would know. So just sit down, circle all of that, try and see where you need to actually change it. The next thing is bringing in a bit of passion into your deck. This doesn't have to be crazy. This can come from a tone of voice, the visuals, anything, because you have to remember that you're not presenting facts and information. You're actually trying to present a vision or a belief that you have. And what you need is support to actually like bring this vision to life. So really look through it and try and like make sure. Oh, sorry.
It sounded like someone was coming into the meeting. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Do you have a
This is
question?
Pablo. No, yeah, later.
Okay, cool.
It's
you
very
can
good
also
so
drop
far.
the questions in the chat, Pablo. We can talk about the questions in the end.
Okay, I will do that.
Yeah, so kind of coming back to this, it's turning it from information into a narrative, like we talked about. Use the headings of each slide, use the text of each slide to build that narrative. What is the problem in the story? What are the like roadblocks that people have to solving this problem? And how can you actually help them? What is this vision that you share that people don't have? And then also start injecting back personality. This is something that most decks don't have. That's what makes them forgettable. That's what makes investors are looking at so many decks a day. what you need to do is actually bring out something fun. There was this one brand that is making like some organic pet food, whatever. And that's what they had. Like they had a deck that was just giving them information, trying to be so serious to investors. And I was like, just add pictures of dogs. That's it. Like people are gonna love it then. Just bring back some amount of fun, personality. And your personality doesn't have to be fun. If you're like a future forward, innovative tech company, you can show aspiration. You can show belief, hope. If you're an impact company, you can talk about like urgency, like really try and bring out some personality in the language and ask the AI that you're using to try and change your copy to bring that personality out, to bring about more passion, and then tweak it from there. And of course, like we mentioned before, don't just write a bio. Talk about your unfair advantage. What do you know? What do you have access to? Or what have you and your team done that nobody else has that makes you uniquely equipped to solve this problem? So that's about it for pitch decks. Any questions here? Or I can move on to the content.
Good.
Okay, awesome. So content, this can be for your company's content, or it can be for your personal LinkedIn or anything. AI people, the thing where I think people are using AI is to generate content ideas, and then they pick one of those ideas and say, okay, write this LinkedIn post for me. And the problem there is that a lot of things is just text. You pick a topic, but it's not giving any sort of like personal insight or personal flavor to it, or like opinions, or things that will make people engage, or adding in your humor or your personal experience just doesn't work. Like that's a big thing with LinkedIn. If you're posting on LinkedIn and your post doesn't start with in my experience or this thing happened to me, it usually doesn't perform. So always have your own personal POV in what you're doing. Feed AI your personal story. I know that might be hard, but if you're using AI for content, you have to make it tell a story, and then you have to make it tell your story. And then the next thing is that there are no content pillars. The pillars are, we'll get into that as well, but they're mostly just like the foundation for your content strategy. For example, it decides what you're known for, how you're known, what people think about when they engage with your content. Next thing is authority. You need to use your content to create authority. And AI is good at writing like these hooks, like the first line being very good or a hook for a video. But for startups, you need to make authority. That's the only metric that converts for startups. And that means um, you're calling out to your industry. You're talking about the problems in your industry. You're talking about why you're disrupting it. This is the only thing that converts. And of course, it's the tone of voice. AI sounds like everyone. It doesn't sound like you. It's not funny like you. It's not passionate like you, and it's not hopeful like you. So you need to try and give it more of a personality in its voice. So the three content pillars are essentially what you're known for, what you teach, and what you believe. So pillar one, which is authority, and you can think about all of these and then feed this to AI, saying, these are my content pillars. Now create content ideas for me. So your pillar one, which is authority, would be what's the one topic you know better than anyone else in your space? The second is your story. Like, tell it a little bit about why you started this. What made you actually stay up at night and think about this problem? What's the mission that you have, the journey you've taken, the people in your team, and what makes them different? Start telling it your story. And number three is the point of view. What do you believe in that people would disagree with? What do you believe in, or what do you see that most people don't see? Start telling it that, like, write down these three pillars, feed it to AI, and then ask it to make your content for you from these three. And I can guarantee that you're going to get a better outcome. So now I'm going to like just tell you about the actions to take. The first one, of course, when it comes to content is asking the right questions. This isn't specific to AI. It starts with yourself, where instead of thinking about what should we post, start asking about the audience. What are they struggling with? What do they not understand? What do they believe? Where are they not heard? What can we articulate to them? Think about that first, put that together, then feed it to AI, and then ask it, okay, now write this content for me. This next one, and most important, is building the tone of voice. Think about if your business or if your internet personality was an actual person and they walked into a room, what would they be like? What action would they take? Would they take off their coat? Would they sit down? Would they start talking to people? Would they be quiet? Um, and what would they say? Are they funny? Are they like talkative? Are they quiet and just listening to people? Build that personality. Then come up with tone of voice words. How professional are we? How casual are we? How funny are we? Or how sensitive are we? And then put that together. The next one is building an original perspective. The title is kind of self-explanatory, but I can explain this with an example. One of my clients is a prosthetics company. They talk about amputations, they talk about cancer and diseases and people's lives changing, which is difficult. But we had to realize that prosthetics companies don't grow online. Nobody wants to watch amputation related content. Nobody cares about prosthetics. So what we had to do was be funny. Now, how does a prosthetics company be funny? And that's an original perspective that we had to think about. And we had to decide, okay, that this company is super warm, they're inviting. They don't talk about prosthetics with fear, and they don't also be overly inspirational. They're not going to say, okay, you can wear our device and climb Mount Everest. They're going to say, okay, you can sit down with your family and pick up a glass of water. You can go back to work. You can kick a ball if you want. So bringing in like a human thing. And that's the kind of unique perspective that AI can't really do. That's where that sense of like human creativity comes in. And once you build that foundation and once you think about that, then you can feed it and tell it, okay, now think from this angle and rewrite this post for me. And it's going to do a great job of it. And the last one is, of course, audit your content. If you write a LinkedIn post, think if someone was scrolling and they saw the first two lines, would it make them stop? Does the hook of my video make someone want to keep watching or make them scroll? Does this sound like us specifically? Could anyone else in my industry write this? Yes or no? If it's a yes, don't post it. It's just not worth it. It's not going to do anything for you. You need to figure out, you need to push AI to actually rewrite it to sound so uniquely you. So that's the content side of things. Now I can just like give you guys a little summary and then wrap up.